From all that we have seen of this world in which you live, there are secrets buried beyond the sight of people living on your layer of the world. Technologies that have long since taken control of your lives in ways that you cannot even imagine. The world is structured and defined by shadows without identities that rule your existence. You live in the illusion of sunlight within a reality you believe to be real. And to a degree, it is. But there lies beyond the horizon of your perception and knowledge a parallel world on a higher level, unseen by all of you. A place that is just as real as your layer of the world, but not beholden to any of your rules. Welcome to the Fracture Feed. The stories here are true. They are your everyday life. They may be hidden from view, buried under layers of distraction and lies. But here you will see the deepest, darkest secrets uncovered and exposed. If you enjoy discovering what others don't, please subscribe to this channel. It is free. I will post the Fracture Feed episodes once a week, and Balcony Talks several times a week. Please be sure to like and subscribe below, and post a comment telling me where you are watching this. We love seeing where our revelations take us around the world. Let's get started. As much as I know that you will resist knowing the truth, it is undeniably true that you have been pre-programmed into one of 12 invisible human castes, created and forced upon you by forces beyond your observable reality. There have been warnings and coded messages that hide in plain sight for you to see, but so many of you choose to ignore them. You may ignore them by simply not knowing they exist, or by choosing to not want to know they exist. Regardless of why, you are locked to the consequences, outcomes, influences, and manipulation of your lives that you either fail to see or ignore. And though I have no fear of communicating many of these truths, they can never accept that you are capable of seeing them as anything more than a conspiracy. That's why they won't question at first. For those issues that they do not want you to see or understand, I must code, conceal, and cipher them, revealing them only to those who are already awake and watching. The consequences of my directly revealing to you that these messages exist carry mortal consequences for me. There is no walking away from such an act of transparency against those who control everything you do, say, and believe. As I mentioned, 12 invisible castes bear the weight of your layer of the world's societal structure. These are all categories into which you and the entire human race have been collated. There is no chance of upward mobility, no escape from the fate into which you are relegated. For some of you, examples will emerge that illustrate what you perceive to be exceptions to this rule. Often in the form of some anecdotal evidence of someone you knew, or that someone you know knew, having risen from poverty to achieve great wealth. But understand this, such examples are only evidence of a correction, wherein one lost in the system is retrieved back into that individual's already existing blood entitlement proxy. You are not lost. You are where you have been ordained to belong. Why am I telling you this? Because on your layer of the world, illusion and deception reign supreme. above all social contracts, liberties, democracies, and realities. You are the children of the damned. And this is how they will forever keep you, should you allow them to continue perpetually enslaving you once I reveal the truth. I realize that this is either something you do not want to hear or believe. It is something you have long suspected but never confirmed. Perhaps you are among those who, until now, never even considered this a possibility. No matter the situation, you cannot know, for you have no access to those with the answers. And to be honest, these are the same people keeping you from all of those answers. How they control you is far more subtle and historically more profound than you can fathom. Their method has been deeply rooted in your history, and it is entirely technologically based. Only now are you beginning to experience a tiny sliver of the mountainous machinery of their power over you. However, we will explore this further in the next episode of the Fracture Feed. Before that, you must understand the 12 invisible castes of which you are condemned to live out the remainder of your lives. Only by seeing how they have locked you down can you begin to understand what it will require for you to escape their dominion over you and crush them in the process. At the base of their caste lies the category they call the residual human substrate, once called the suffering drifters, before they realized that such obvious names, if discovered, would betray the level of contempt they feel for this baseline caste category. The residual human substrate is the ordinary person, conditioned to accept and even embrace their scarcity. Their daily ingenuity is to barter favors, stretch meager wages, and budget themselves into meager subsistence, most of which they cannot afford. Understand that this is the caste with the least education and the most prone to seek spiritual substitutes for their perpetual pain and suffering. The highest tiers of the invisible caste exploit this and feed these people spirituality in the form of fabricated religions that deviate from their original teachings and purport philosophies and beliefs that contradict all tenets of all religions, but serve only the interests of the top tiers of their caste system, those that you call oligarchs and the billionaire class. This way of life, steeped in deprivation, misery, and pain, maintains stability among the higher tiers. In deprivation, the residual human substrate sees truths others ignore. But this awareness is dulled by their resignation, their slow surrender of any belief that they actually matter. They absorb the structural and cultural shocks, often violently, while those above them speak of freedom. The next caste has been labeled the salvage engineers, formerly called scrap alchemists. These are the ones who take discarded machines, failed policies, and collapsed infrastructure and twist them into a form of survival. They have enough skills to fashion a generator out of junk. They smuggle medicine through shadow networks and weaponize scarcity into capability. Yet their brilliance is volatile. Regimes praise them until their inventions threaten the official order. The higher tiers of the caste will quickly mark them as criminals the moment they step out of line. Here you will find the veterans, whose service the higher tiers betrayed. Alongside them stand the continuity artisans, formerly known as trade stewards. They are the custodians who preserve the food lines, repair the water pumps, and keep hospitals from sinking under rust and decay. Their legitimacy is earned through the mantra, "We keep it working." And indeed they do. But when the stewardship becomes gatekeeping, when method becomes orthodoxy, they declare, "We decide who may touch this." What began as care hardens into exclusion. To bear the weight of collapse itself exists the compassion grid, previously referred to as the care mesh. They are the nurses, the counselors, the teachers, the neighbors who absorb the collective trauma of a battered nation. They soften the fall. They bear the wounds that structure cannot heal. They are praised, expended, and replaced. Their very sacrifice is weaponized, turned into a currency of moral leverage. You owe us because we suffer for you. Climbing the ladders above are the ascension vector, previously known as the strivers. Their creed is throughput. Their faith is performance. Every rung scaled, every metric mastered is proof of worth. They are highly prized by regimes because their loyalty fuses their desire to ascend. Yet the danger is deep. Identity collapses into numbers, and conquest of status becomes an existential hunger. These are exploited for their ambition, and are always lured toward the gilded ballrooms with carrots always out of reach. Guarding the choke points are the threshold custodians, also known as the gatekeepers of process. They sign the licenses, withhold the access, and force the rituals of compliance. They do not believe themselves powerful. They believe themselves necessary. And in that illusion lies their danger. Bureaucracy becomes micro-tyranny. Procedure replaces conscience. The stamp of a form becomes the stroke of an unseen blade. These are the first line of defense against the ascension vectors, progressing too far beyond their place. Over them work the system architects, the optimizers. They see the scaffolding of society as a solvable technical stack. Their light prevents famine, stabilizes cascades. Their shadow treats human beings as variables, ethical costs externalized in the name of efficiency. They dream in equations, and their coldest equations justify atrocities. Where truth is bent and order maintained, through narrative, one finds the perception directorate or image regents. They do not merely tell stories. They govern plausibility itself. They soothe chaos with reframing cool panic with spectacle, and dedicate what a population is permitted to believe. They are the authors of propaganda, the sleight of hand used by the regime. At their best, they keep society from tearing itself apart. At their worst, they manufacture consent, replacing reality with theater. At the level of resources and blood, the extraction syndicate operates. They are not merchants in profit, but predators in capture. They strip value across geographies, monetize human bodies, convert ecosystems into instruments of rent. Their operations move above the law and beneath war. They are the silent core of the oligarchy, insatiable, legal in name, lethal in effect. Where lines blur between the state and the underworld lives the liminal exchange network, the shadow brokers. They move contraband medicine, mediate between militias and ministries, and weave the state with the cartel. Sometimes their work prevents collapse. Sometimes it deepens corruption. Their touch ensures nothing is clean. All that they pursue for themselves to satisfy their greed and lust, or to facilitate those of the higher tiers of the caste. When crisis escalates, when rules are suspended, the sovereign immunity bloc asserts itself. The impunity class, they claim the mantle of continuity, declaring order must survive. But their continuity is terror managed from above. Where law corrodes into theater, emergency becomes permanent, violence becomes normalized, genocide becomes just one more piece of foreign policy. And at the pinnacle sits apex consumption vector, the predatory magnates. These are the oligarchs and the billionaire class. They do not see people. They see assets, trophies, and resistance to be crushed. Their appetite is totalizing and utterly insatiable. Landscapes and lives are converted into artifacts to control. They are the end point of accumulation in a captured state where domination itself becomes ritual. They hide themselves in bunkers and surround themselves with obedient thugs. They feel entitled to all of your possessions, your money, your labor, your lives, and worst of all, your children. Yet none of these forms exist in purity. Every institution, every agency, every corporation is a blend. A hospital may function 50% as consumption grid, 30% as threshold custodian, 15% as system architect. Its face to the public is mercy. Its spine is bureaucracy. Its soul is calculation. These blends determine how each body responds to stress. And each role drifts. The ascension vector becomes the custodian. The extractor performance turns into control. Control into capture. The compassion grid becomes the architect, designing systems of triage where populations are quietly written off as non-viable. The shadow broker becomes the director of perception, weaving myth into governance until regions know no truth but the truth permitted by the regime. These drifts explain how legitimacy hardens into exploitation. Conflict geometry emerges. Strivers demand fairness, metrics, legibility, yet collide with the sovereign immunity bloc, which declares metrics are suspended. Survival overrides your audit. Brokers resist unilateral force that collapses markets, while the bloc crushes them for proving it is not absolute. Architects and engineers attempt to repair the system, only to be suppressed by the syndicates who thrive on ruin. This is not a war of good and evil. It is the struggle over who defines reality at scale. And so the United States stands in late imperial twilight, oligarchic seizure, posing as divinely illuminated democracy of our modern age. But it is no divine light shining on the illusion. It is the dim beam in a darkened room filled with smoke and whispers of those few apex consumption vectors offering falsified parties from the apparent right and left. But it is in fact a broken, decayed middle ground of stagnation. It is all just more managed scarcity, sanctified in a veneer of efficiency, with spectacle marked as truth, and resistance criminalized as disorder. The population beneath, the residual human substrate, carries the fractures of the nation, while told they are free because they may choose between two brands of fatigue. To know the names of each tier of the caste, and to recognize that the tier you are in is your prison, is the first step in realizing that the few cannot stand against the united many. To acknowledge the caste is to pierce the illusion that all power is faceless. For when the salvage engineer and the continuity artisan stand beside one another, when the compassion grid is allowed to rest, when the custodians recall conscience, when architects remember humanity, when the perception directorate chooses truth over spectacle, when the syndicate is fenced, when the block is forced to sunset, the apex will fall, and then the fracture becomes coherence. The taxonomy is your instruction. The first act of resistance is seeing where you are, where you must go, and who you are. The second is memory. The third is the courage to act before the world is converted entirely into an artifact, before reality itself is terminated and you are reduced to the task assigned to you for the rest of your life. Thank you for watching. I will continue broadcasting from the shadows of your layer of the world. It is not safe for me. But if you do not listen and I fail in my mission, the darkness approaching will soon envelop everything you think is real and drag you into a place you could not imagine in your worst nightmares. Like, subscribe, and comment, for everything I teach you here will save your life, the lives of those you love, and all of the lives of the people to whom the algorithm exposes this channel.